Should a man, once past 60, still care about size? And yet, we can't deny this. Penis size remains a silent obsession for many men. At every age, especially as they enter their later years. This isn't just about physical appearance, but rather a quiet fear, one that slowly erodes confidence, self-worth, and even intimacy in relationships. The question, "Is my size normal?" might seem simple, but for many men, it's a source of quiet torment they carry for a lifetime. And surprisingly, most men who worry about their size are actually well within the medically normal range. An international study involving over 15,000 men showed over 90% of men fall within what science considers an acceptable normal size. The issue is, adult media, offhand jokes, and casual size comparisons plant seeds of doubt, the kind that grow silently inside. Age changes the body, but the worry about size? It stays, and often becomes even more silent. And it's that silence that drives many men into insecurity, avoidance of intimacy, and a loss of belief in themselves. This video wasn't made to judge or to sugarcoat. It was made to speak the truth, directly, but with respect. We won't just talk about numbers. We'll talk about real feelings, so that you can finally look at yourself with understanding, confidence, and deep compassion. If you're watching this video, click like to support honest conversations. Share this with someone you know who may be quietly carrying this burden. And don't forget to click subscribe so we can keep unpacking these tough topics with dignity, with clarity, and with humanity. You know what? One of the very first sources of insecurity stems from distorted comparisons with images from adult films. The men chosen for those films do not represent the average. They are handpicked for their above-average size, filmed from exaggerated camera angles, and often digitally enhanced to appear bigger, longer, thicker, all in service of fantasy, not reality. But when those images become the only reference many men have, it's almost inevitable that they begin quietly comparing themselves. When you measure your body against a figure shaped by lighting tricks and post-production effects, your confidence shrinks like a candle in a hall of mirrors. The more you look, the smaller you feel. And it's not just the media. Cultural ideas of masculinity fuel this invisible pressure too. Locker room jokes about size, boastful bar stories, subtle glances of judgment from the opposite sex. Each one is a slow drip of poison feeding self-doubt. People may laugh in the moment, but many men go home afterward, carrying a heavy silence filled with questions. What's even more unfortunate is this. Most men were never properly taught about their own bodies. They grew up in environments of secrecy, avoidance, sometimes even shame or mockery. And the gaps in real knowledge were not filled with truth, but with myths, rumors, and embarrassment. The result? A generation of men silently carrying shame, too afraid to ask, too afraid to speak, thinking they're simply not enough. That's why overcoming fear about size doesn't begin with numbers. It begins with truth. It begins with re-examining all the distorted images we've believed were the standard. Only then can we start to see our bodies with new eyes, not of judgment or fear, but of understanding and respect. After letting go of distorted comparisons and baseless myths, the next step is to return to reality, to your own actual size. And the truth is, there's no such thing as a perfect measurement. If the penis is not measured properly, it can easily become yet another source of misunderstanding. In fact, many men either don't know or have never been shown how to measure their penis correctly. This often leads to inaccurate numbers, which then feed unnecessary anxiety and a sense of being abnormal, when in reality, they are perfectly normal. First, let's talk about length, one of the most overemphasized aspects. The correct way to measure length is not a quick guess from the belly skin, nor from underneath. The medically accepted method is to measure from the pubic bone to the tip of the penis, along the top. To do this, the person should stand straight, use a ruler or a soft measuring tape, and gently press into the fat pad above the base to ensure the starting point is the pubic bone, not the outer layer of fat. Then, gently but firmly stretch the penis to its natural full length, not straining or pulling too hard. just enough to see its full potential when flaccid. This method is called stretched flaccid length, and it has been shown to correspond closely to erect length. Next is girth, often overlooked. Yet just as important, the feeling of fullness during intimacy doesn't depend solely on length, but also on the girth of the penis. To measure it accurately, wait until the penis is fully erect. Then, take a soft string or measuring tape and wrap it around the midshaft, the thickest part. The string should be snug but not tight. Mark where the ends meet. Then measure that length. One important point that few people realize: penis size can vary significantly depending on psychological state, environment, and even weather. Cold temperatures, stress, fatigue, or low confidence can cause the penis to shrink considerably, sometimes even to half its usual size. That's why measurements should be taken in a relaxed state, ideally after a warm shower, when the body is calm and blood flow is optimal. And finally, but most importantly, the goal of measuring is not to brag or beat yourself up. It's to know your body and understand yourself accurately. Because once you have the right information, you can let go of invisible fears and live with true confidence, not confidence from thinking you're better than someone else, but confidence that comes from knowing there's nothing to be ashamed of. And sometimes, that clarity is the very first step to healing a silence that has lasted far too long. The next question many men often wonder is, so what size is considered normal? This is where medical statistics must be brought in, not to compare who's better, but to dismantle a silent fear, one born out of ambiguity and lack of clear information. One of the most comprehensive studies on this topic was published in 2015 in the British Journal of Urology International. Scientists analyzed data from nearly 15,000 men across the globe, of all races, ages, and health conditions. The findings showed that the average erect penis length is 13.2 centimeters, 5.2 inches, and the average erect girth is 11.5 centimeters, 4.5 inches. These numbers are not extreme or impressive as many might believe. In fact, they're unremarkable, simply the most common size range that the majority of men fall into. Even more importantly, the study confirmed this. 90 to 95% of men have an erect penis length between 10 and 16 centimeters, 3.9 to 6.3 inches. That means, if you fall anywhere within this range, you are completely normal, and there's absolutely nothing to worry about. This is a profoundly relieving message, because many men feel insecure simply because they think they're not enough, when in reality, they belong to the vast majority. Of course, there are exceptions. For instance, the term micropenis is medically defined as an erect, or stretched, length under 7.5 centimeters, 3 inches. These cases are extremely rare and usually linked to clear medical causes such as hormonal disorders or genetic conditions. On the other end of the spectrum, men with erect lengths over 24 centimeters, 9.4 inches, are also considered outliers, sometimes due to gene mutations, but often accompanied by physiological complications. The key point is this: we should never use extremes as the standard. If everyone measures themselves against the rare 1%, then the remaining 99% will always feel inferior. And that's the fastest way to lose self-confidence. I once received a letter from a man named John, age 67, from California. He wrote that since his youth, he had always felt insecure about his size. No one had ever mocked him. No one had told him he was small. But in his mind, that voice was always there. After retiring, he spent much of his time reading online, and stumbled upon an ad for penis enlargement surgery. He said, "I knew I didn't need it, but I still felt I wasn't enough." Eventually, he decided to go through with the surgery, hoping to reclaim a confidence he had never quite found. But what he didn't expect was that afterward, he felt even more regret than before he did anything at all. Penile surgery, although it may sound like a definitive solution, is in reality a complex intervention, full of risks, and very likely to cause psychological harm if the initial expectations are not realistic. First, many studies show that the majority of those who seek penis enlargement surgery already have completely normal measurements. They don't have deformities, nor any medical issues, they simply feel too small, due to comparisons or insecurity. And after the surgery, up to 40% are still not satisfied with the results, because they didn't find what they truly needed, confidence that comes from within. Second, penis enlargement surgery is not a simple procedure as many advertisements describe. Some techniques only involve cutting the ligament that holds the penis, making it appear longer when flaccid, but it does not increase erect length. In fact, many men lose the ability to achieve natural erections after the surgery, or experience a lack of control and a significant decrease in pleasure. Additionally, there are other risks such as infection, deformity, hardened scarring, or penile curvature. What's even more concerning is that many people don't go to licensed medical facilities, but instead choose unregulated cosmetic centers, which leads to serious and difficult-to-repair consequences. Some need multiple corrective surgeries. Others lose all sensation. And there's one thing that very few people talk about: an excessively large penis does not always make a partner more comfortable, on the contrary. It can cause discomfort, pain, or even vaginal tissue damage. Studies have shown that sexual satisfaction does not correlate directly with length or girth, but rather with emotional connection, gentleness, and the ability to care for one another. So, if you've ever thought about surgery as a last resort, stop and ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Is it a true desire, or just the feeling that I'm not enough? So, is there any other way besides surgery? The answer is yes, and these are methods that are safe, scientific, and most importantly, they don't damage your body, but help you reconnect with it. Reduce fat in the pubic area. Belly fat, especially around the pubic bone, can visually hide part of the penis length. Losing just a few centimeters off your waist can naturally reveal an additional 1 to 2 centimeters. This not only improves appearance but also benefits blood pressure, heart health, and joint function, common concerns for men over 60. Improve natural blood circulation. The penis is essentially a vascular sponge. When blood flows well, the penis appears fuller, erections are firmer, and sensitivity improves. You can boost blood flow by eating nitrate-rich foods like beets, arugula, and spinach, staying hydrated, quitting smoking, limiting alcohol, and practicing pelvic floor exercises. Kegels also help greatly. Check your hormones, especially testosterone. Testosterone is a vital biofuel for men's health. As you age, levels of this hormone can decline, leading to fatigue, low libido, and weaker erections. A comprehensive blood test will show you exactly where you stand, and if necessary, you can consider natural ways to boost testosterone or seek medically supervised support. Stop comparing, start building emotional connection. This is the hardest step, but also the most important. Size does not define your worth. What satisfies your partner isn't a number, it's emotional connection, attentiveness, and your presence in the moment. Return to talking, hugging, touching, caring, listening. These are what truly create intimacy and safety. No number can replace that. Seek guidance from real medical professionals. If you're still unsure about your body, don't look for answers in ads or whispers. Consult a certified urologist or a psychologist if you feel overwhelmed. Because sometimes, what you need isn't a physical change, but someone to help you untangle what's going on inside. Size does not define who you are, but understanding and confidence can. Instead of chasing illusions, start with what's real, understand correctly, live healthily, and connect deeply with the people you love. Your body, even if it's different from others, still deserves to be respected, cared for, and accepted. If today you feel even just a little bit more at ease, then that is already progress. If this video brought you relief or helped you understand yourself better, please hit like to support kind and meaningful content like this. Share it with a friend who might be carrying the same silent worry. And don't forget to subscribe to keep receiving videos that speak honestly, speak fully, and speak for you, because you deserve to live more gently every single day.